And we want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. Welcome to today's Take 5. We have Bo Polny back in the house with us. Bo, how are you?
Great, Pastor Dave. Thanks for having me. And what a time we had last weekend. We had so much going on. And, you know, I got to tell you, His Glory Ranch, man, that's an anointed place. God's got His hand all over that place. Every time we've gone there from the past few years, there's probably we're 3 years into this thing of going to your events, and every single day it rains before, it rains the day after. Every single event you've had, it's been perfect skies, no wind. God has just got His hands all over making sure that every single thing that happens at your ranch is perfect. And then the prophecy that Julie gave about you and your ministry it was next level as well too. So
yeah,
thank you for having us all there.
So she went to my house. I was telling you this before we came, and 2 eagles escorted her to my house on Saturday, which and then somebody said they saw him above the tent too. And then I told you on Sunday I was drinking my coffee, and there was a 30-foot angel, and the glory cloud just was radiant, and you just felt the glory of God just so strong.
Yeah. This is all about a birthing season, and specifically, you know, what's written on your shirt in your ministry. It's His glory. That's really what this is about. You know, when you read Numbers 14:21, it says, "His glory shall fill not California, not Texas, but it's going to fill the entire earth." And so this is a birthing moment for humanity. The church age that we grew up with is about to come to an end. And that was actually a marker with the death of the Pope last year. If you run the 8, you run from the Revelation 12 sign, you go 8 years and 8 months. It's here now. It's Pentecost. So in 11 days from now. Yeah. So the Lord really wanted me to come on today and really just cover the mathematics so the viewers understand that none of this is random. In fact, everything has been by design since creation. We just happen to live at the greatest time point in history, okay? Like, we are living for, what the apostle says, if only we could be here to watch God move upon the earth. We're going to witness what's about to happen. And this is like go time right now that it's about to manifest. And so you'll see what I've already covered a lot of this in prior podcasts and on your show, but there's a bunch more details the Lord wanted me to cover today. So I'm just going to go slowly here and just show the viewers how awesome all of this is. Like, none of this is random. It's the farthest thing from random. Okay. So, and why we want to look at, God's actually got a book called Numbers. Okay. So numbers are important to God, and God used numbers at the beginning of time. Okay. So why I say this is because today, as we record, today is May 13th on the Gregorian fake clock. Okay. So the calendar is fake. Pope Gregory took us off the Julian calendar, which was used when Christ walked on the earth. So today, per the Julian calendar, it's the last day of April, and tomorrow's the first day of May, which specifically, there's a call sign called Mayday, Mayday, Mayday. So there's a 10-day window between May 14th and May 24th, which I find to be very interesting because it took 10 days from Israel for Israel when they left Egypt to get to the Red Sea. It was a 10-day window. So if we come backwards from Pentecost, that takes us to tomorrow, May 14th. Now, let's get into some of the details here in reference to what's going on. When we read Revelation and we read scriptures and we read Jeremiah, there's a verse in Jeremiah 30, verse 9. It says, "But they shall serve the Lord their God, and David their king, who I will raise up." Okay, this is right here in Jeremiah 30, verse 9. So what it says, this is written after King David. Okay, let that sink in. So King David's dead, but Jeremiah says that God's going to raise up a David. Very important. So let's look at this, okay? So Trump is born June 14th, 1946. If you add 700 days, what a coincidence, Israel is declared a state. 700 days. Okay, This is like, when I'm done here, this is like not possible. And then when we run this, then from his birthday to his first day in office, 70 years, 7 months, and 7 days. So there's your 777. Give credit to Lance Wallnau. I think he's the first one that discovered that. And then he actually went on the news and talked about this. That Trump is a type of Cyrus, and they freaked out. Yep. Because it is true, right? Because what did Cyrus do? He freed Israel after 70 years of captivity. Okay, so Trump is a type of Cyrus, but more so he's a type of David, because David cut off the head of Goliath. And so that's what Trump is doing right now. So let's continue. So when we look at this, from January 20th, so his second presidency, okay, this is interesting, was 78 years, 7 months, and 7 days, first day in office. Now, 78, 8 is interesting because that marks a new beginning, okay? And then when we look further at Trump, June 14th, 2026, he turns 80 years old. Well, when you read Exodus 7:7, there's your 2 sevens again, Moses was 80 when he delivered Israel from bondage. Okay, so this is Jeremiah 30 verse 9 is literally telling us that God's going to raise up a David. There he is. He's right in front of us. Okay, this is Jeremiah 30 verse 9. Now next, let's look at Israel. Okay, so Israel is declared a state May 14th, 1948. 70 years to the exact day. Trump moves the embassy, opens the embassy in Jerusalem. 70 years to the exact day. Very important. Okay, none of this is random. And then if we run to tomorrow, May 14th, it's 78 years.
Wow.
So in other words, from when he moved the capital, the embassy to Jerusalem, tomorrow will be 8 years. Tomorrow, which is the 78th anniversary. But why is that important? Because 8 is a new beginning. It's completion. So 78 is completion plus a new beginning. And then 80 represents a new beginning. I'm just giving you, this is all scriptural. Luke tells us about Genesis 17. Luke 2 talks about 8 days. First Peter talks about 8. Exodus, there was, Moses was 80. Okay, so I'm just showing all those listening that everything happening is not random. So I listened to your war report that you do, Pastor Dave, and we're watching all the events that are going on. But understand, everything that's happening is by design. In other words, God wrote the time. So everything is falling into his time window that he wrote at the beginning of time. There's no way that Trump could be mathematically so perfect. There's no way that Israel could be mathematically so perfect, and everything's so perfect, and everything is happening right in front of us. And all that hasn't happened is a move of God. Because remember, when you go back to the Exodus, right? It wasn't until the angel of death showed up that everything changed. Because Pharaoh, after 9 plagues, kept changing his mind, and he never let Israel go. And just one prophet we both know together, Julie Green, I've listened to 3-4 words she's had that the angel of death is on the earth. Ken Christmas has said it, Carolyn Dennis, I can go on and on. And so the angel of death is on the earth. We're just waiting for a strike. Why? Because the strike will cause the downfall of this Babylonian system. And what the Lord revealed to me, this is interesting. I think all the hunters will get this, okay? And so when you go hunting, and if you shoot an animal, but you hit him like in the arm, okay? So now they're bleeding out, but they're not dead, okay? So scripturally, that's called a mortal wound. It's a death blow, but not a kill shot. There's a difference. A kill shot means if you hit the animal in the heart, they're dead. You hit them in the head, they're dead. But if you hit them where they're bleeding out, then what ends up happening is it takes time for them to die, okay? So the angel of death was a mortal wound. The angel of death was a mortal wound because then that set up Pharaoh to now pride. He chased them to the Red Sea. 10 days later, he went into the Red Sea and was ultimately destroyed, okay? So what happened was it was a mortal wound that led to a final kill shot 10 days later. We're at a point in time where we've seen everything all these years. We're literally 10 years now since Trump took office, and he won in 2016. Okay, so he won in 2016. We're 10 years into this. Pastor Dave, is there one person in jail yet? Like people say, oh, the people in Gitmo. Okay, that's fine. Whatever. But has the news media reported that there's been one arrest yet, Pastor Dave?
Not yet.
That's what I'm saying. You've been doing the war report for how long? Trump's been in office now one full term and now another year and several months. Okay. Who's arrested? Nobody. Why? Because Babylon still is in control. Let that sink in. Okay. Babylon is still in control. Yes, there's been a lot of victories, but no one's still in jail. The news media still hasn't reported about what's truly happened with what all these people have been doing behind the scenes and the horrific things that they do to children and everything else. The horrific things that are happening. And even to this very day, they still haven't stopped trying to take on and attack Trump. My point is, they use, the devil, Satan, is the prince of the air. He still controls the airways, period. Okay. And so, Pastor Dave, you do your war report and you're exposing everything. And so we're all doing our part. But ultimately, just like Pharaoh, Moses was never going to be able to release Israel without the angel of death showing up. Okay. The point was, it was an act of God that caused Israel to be finally freed. Okay. So we are so close because now, why is it important? Because Moses was 80 when Israel was freed. Oh, what a coincidence. In a month from now, Trump turns 80. You see what I'm saying? Okay. So what I'm showing you here, and then like what, 2 weeks later, we step into the greatest celebration in human history. That's prophecy. Okay. Because America turns 250 years old, which is 5 cycles of 50 Jubilee. So a Jubilee is 50 years, 5 cycles of that. So grace 5 times over is 250, and America is reborn, one nation under God. Oh, what a coincidence that on the 17th in 4 days from now, right? 13, 14, 15, 16, 4 days from now, Trump is rededicating America to God. I'm telling you, when that happens, what happens is a legal precedent that happens when this occurs. Because when Adam and Eve so God created everything, and then he gave it to Adam and Eve. He gave it to Adam. Okay. And then Adam and Eve lost it all because what's called they usurp. So Satan comes in and he usurps, he steals the inheritance. So when he stole it, he basically got control of a 6,000-year lease. So God spoke and he gave to Adam a lease valid for 6,000 years because scripture tells us the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Okay. So when you get a car, what happens with your car is if you lease it, you must return the car at the end of the lease. So God gave Adam, it's called Adam's lease. He gave the earth to Adam for 6,000 years, and foolishly, Adam gave it up to Satan, and then Satan now has legal authority over the earth. That's why he's now called the prince of the air. Christ is king, but Satan's has legal authority. And that, if you don't believe me, if those listening, oh, that's not true. Okay, then how come in the wilderness, what happened? Satan said, bow down to me. He's talking to God. He's talking to Jesus. And what does he offer him? The world. How did he do that? He had legal authority to offer him the world. Now, this is important, taking us to Trump and May 17th. When Trump, the president of America, and the Supreme Court of America has now overturned Roe v. Wade. So we've overturned Roe v. Wade. So now God is with us. Who can stand against us? Trump then reads 2 Chronicles 7:14. If my children turn from their wicked ways, we overturned Roe v. Wade. This has always been about abortion. So as from a Supreme Court level. So we've overturned abortion on the Supreme Court level. And now Trump reads 2 Chronicles, and then he continues, says God will heal our land. But in order for that to happen, God has to have legal authority by the president of the United States. This is very important, okay? God's just not going to come in without, because the scripture tells us you have to ask God and then he will do. So it's very specific about you have to ask. And so when we rededicate America to God, we're asking God to come back to America. And this is so important because the veil of protection over, so this is the globe, and there was a veil of protection over America And then 50 years ago, we allowed abortion. So we allowed the veil to be opened. And guess what snuck in? Evil snuck in. And now look where we're at. Come on. It sucks, okay? And so now we've seen how horrible and disgusting evil is. So now what's happened is when Trump rededicates America, the seal will be closed. We ask God to come back in. And the glory is about to hit the earth when this event happens. And we step into the greatest time in human history because evil is kicked out of America when Trump does this. This is going to be awesome. When we kick evil out of America, when Trump rededicates America to Jesus Christ, this is going to be the greatest. This is the greatest setup in human history, what's about to go down here. And this ties into Pastor Dave's ministry, his glory. Why? Because God actually spoke through Julie Green that Pastor Dave's ministry is going to go around the world. Well, why? Because of the name of it. It actually is called something very epic. It's called His Glory. And what a coincidence that the person that runs and is in charge of His Glory is, by coincidence, turning a very interesting age. He's turning 58 years old. So here it is. So Pastor Dave of His Glory was born March 18, 1968. Now, this is interesting because on March 18th of this year, you turned 58 years old. What a coincidence, Pastor Dave, that was New Year's Day. Nissan 1. Okay, so March 18th was New Year's Day on God's calendar, Nissan 1. Can't make this stuff up, okay? And so spring is when the birth occurs, okay? So, and you know, God does things in His times and His seasons. So when is the birthing month? Springtime. When do animals, when does nature give birth? Springtime. So we're in spring right now. And then Pastor Dave, he's 58. So it's a jubilee. Well, we need a jubilee, okay? Thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land. Okay, so we got that happening, and the 8 represents a new beginning, okay? So right now, today being May 13th, okay, last day of the Julian calendar of April. Tomorrow is May 1. Now, will something happen? I don't know, but I do know that this time point is very interesting because it's exactly 8 years from when Trump moved the embassy to Jerusalem, to the exact time point. And right now, we've also got something very interesting happening as well, too. Silver, as we speak today, is $88, wow, which marks, again, God saying that silver is the marker that's going to mark the fall of the Babylonian control system. The Pope was 88 when he died. That marks the end of the church age, which brings on the glory age. You don't get a glory age until the church age dies. We're seeing a lot of things happening with pastors right now. Why? Because the way the church is set up with this, with massive news, what do you call them? Networks all over the globe that have massive outreach, and all these big ministries bring on thousands of people. The church ministries are dying. Why? Because God's about to raise up a new ministry, and that's new wineskin. New wineskin and old wineskin don't mix, okay? So these old church ministries, I'm not going to drop names, doesn't matter. These old church ministries are old wineskin, and they're not going to be able to handle the glory that's about to hit the earth. So the old church system is going to fall apart, and His glory, when it hits the earth here this month, which is incredible because from the death of from Revelation 12, 8 years and 8 months is Pentecost, May 24, 2020. 6 is Pentecost. From the Great North American Eclipse, 7 cities called Nineveh, 7 cities called Salem, 7 years apart, 777 days to the exact day is Pentecost, May 24, 2026. Something's about to happen here these next 10 days. Silver's about to explode. Yeah. Silver is the marker for the collapse and the control of this controlled Babylonian system. God's church is about to be freed. This is an Exodus type moment that we're about to witness. The same thing that happened with Israel finally being freed from 400 years of captivity. Period. And we've got Trump, who turns 80 this June 14th.
The mathematics behind what I went over, and this is just a piece of it, is impossible. Therefore, there's only one answer, but God.
Yep.
He wrote the end from the beginning.
He did. He's absolutely amazing. It goes back to Ezekiel 4. Ezekiel 4 prophesies the exact day that Israel become a nation 2,500 years later, May 14th, 1948, to the day. Absolutely breathtaking how perfect God is. Incredible time, Bo, to be alive, because the glory of God is going to shine from east to west to north to south. That wraps up today's Take 5. God bless you, and go in his shalom.
It started with silence, like heaven took a breath. Then the thunder rolled heavy, and the sky split wide. What we thought would never happen fell before our eyes, but we remain. Not one heart moved, the wind bowed low, the saints stood still. One day was all he needed. One word and the war was done. The wicked vanished like vapor, but the righteous faced the sun. The old world cracked and crumbled, but we stood inside his flame, and we'll never forget when the day came. The children woke in silence, like something shook their name. Their eyes were wide with wonder, but they felt no fear, no shame. The rulers raged and crumbled, still shouting as they fell. But evil had no refuge, not in earth or man or hell. And we remained. He called us by name. The earth exhaled and nothing was the same. One day was all he needed. One breath and the storm was still. He broke the chains with silence, and the air itself was filled. The fire fell without burning, and every soul knew his name. Yes, we'll never forget when the day came. We were the ones who remained, not lifted up, but left to stand. Not hidden, but seen. Not crushed, but claimed. The day didn't take us, it revealed us. And now, the harvest begins. One day was all he needed.